Hey, and welcome to the Healing Room. This is Dr. Jonathan Shepherd coming to you live. It has been such a while, it's been such a long time since I've been able to come to you live, and I am so glad to have you join. I want you to go and share this particular broadcast on all of your social media channels. It is so good to see so many of you all. I'm looking forward to the conversation. As I said, this is the Healing Room. This is a place where we come to grow, to have honest conversations, to talk about hope, to talk about life. Um, this is a mental health space that I was able to create over the last year, calling it literally the Healing Room. And I'm so thankful for so many of the conversations that we've had. Today's conversation is not going to disappoint you. Today's conversation is going to be one that will challenge you. Let me just introduce the topic today for this episode. Um, so, we're going to be talking about something that every one of us has faced at one time or another: disappointment. Yeah, disappointment. Everybody has faced disappointment, whether it's a missed opportunity, it's a broken relationship, an unanswered prayer, a dream that didn't unfold the way we expected. Disappointment can leave us feeling discouraged, confused, and even stuck. But while disappointment can be heavy, it doesn't have to be the last word or the final word. So, in this episode, we're going to explore how to process the pain of unmet expectations without becoming defined by them. We'll discuss the importance of stepping back to regain perspective, learning from life's setbacks, and creating a plan for moving forward with renewed strength and purpose. Healing doesn't happen by pretending we're not hurt. I'll say that again. Healing does not happen when we pretend that we're not hurt. It happens when we're willing to face our disappointments honestly, uncover the lessons within them, and trust that there's still hope beyond what didn't happen. So, wherever you are on your journey, take a deep breath, get you some water. We're going to chill for the next 30, 45 minutes. Settle in, join us as we walk through this process of healing from disappointment and discovering the strength to rise again. So, again, I welcome you to the Healing Room. I do have a guest that's going to be with me today, and I am privileged to have this gentleman with me today. We've done some work together, and as I was really discerning as to who should be on this conversation with me, his name popped up, rose to my mind. I wanted to share the platform with him. I want to say this to you today. We're going to have some honest conversation. Um, you might even laugh, you might shed a tear. I plan to be vulnerable with you all because in this life I've had some many disappointments, and the disappointment did not define me. So I'm looking forward to sharing some of my personal stories, but I'm also looking forward to be able to share the platform with my brother Tate Brooks. He's going to come on. He's going to share with this platform with me, and we're going to talk about this thing about dealing with disappointment. So, my brother, how are you, sir?
On. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
We're all good. Awesome, man. I'm so privileged and happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad you agreed to join. And man, I'm telling you, we might get a little raw here because when you talk about disappointment, um, I mean, I've been getting hit up all day today when people tell me
Mm,
this is such a great topic because we all have suffered disappointment. I tell you, even with this, people know that I'm a person who is timely, and even in getting set this up, I was like, "No, wait a minute. How in the
Right.
world you gonna ask me for some two-factor authentication code when I'm logging in? That normally doesn't happen, you know." So even little things like that will disappoint you. Um, yeah. So first of all, let's just introduce you, man. Tell the people a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we'll get this conversation rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Tate Brooks, but I go Tate Desae on social media. And I am, first of all, just privileged to be in community with you, Dr. Shepherd. It's such an honor, but also just um, a privilege to be able to learn, but also to chat with you. I feel like if I am going to be vulnerable tonight, at least I know I'm safe uh, in the right care with such an esteemed scholar and practitioner like you. But I'm a son, I'm a nephew, I'm a brother, I'm a uncle, I'm a cousin, a friend, and a servant, and that's how I like to start it off. I am a native of a little town called Waco, Texas, but my life and career has taken me kind of all over the country. And I'm currently residing in Atlanta, Georgia. And for work, in terms of work, I am a training consultant, and I am a PhD candidate, PhD student, not a candidate just yet. And so I am studying higher education with an emphasis in fo- focusing on. Yeah, that's kind of a little bit about me.
Cool, cool, cool. Wonderful, man.
Yes.
So, and we wait for that day when you graduate with that PhD, man.
Yes,
Definitely, you
sir.
are. Yeah, definitely, you are definitely one who we will see cross. Um, so, let's get into this. So, one of the things I love to do is when I have conversations, I like to define words. And so, when you look up the word disappointment, the word disappointment means the act or instance of failure to meet expectations. Man,
Mm,
the act or the instance of failure to meet expectations. And so I just want to start there. Because when I read that, I was like, man, that hits. Like the emotion attached to the failure to meet expectations. So that lets me know that disappointment is tied to expectations. Now, are the expectations realistic? Are they grandiose? Are they unreal? So, what comes to your mind when you hear that definition about disappointment? The act or failure, the act or instance of failure to meet expectations.
I automatically think about because I've been in the Langston Hughes spirit all week long. Well, these last 2 weeks, I've been thinking about Langston and a lot of his writings, and immediately I think about what happens to a dream deferred, right? And how we put all of our effort into something, right, and expecting an outcome, right, and hopefully the outcome is aligned with what we projected and expected. But when it doesn't turn out that way, what happens though to that dream? What happens to that aspiration, right? Does it just fade away? Does it just I think Langston says, does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Right? And I think for me, it I can say now, as of July 27th, it doesn't, right? But had you talked to me about a year or two ago, I would have said, yeah, it dried up and I dried up with it. You know what I'm saying? Because we put so much in it, right? I think we have this hope and this expectation for things to go well, right? But we live in a current climate where we understand that sometimes that just doesn't go the way we planned, right? Whether you're spiritual or non-spiritual, right? It sometimes just life just happens, right? Life be life in to the point where all of your expectations sometimes are completely right, just erased or just completely exploded. And so, and I think that it's important to have a good foundation, right? A good community of folks that you could depend on to help you kind of gain a different perspective, right? On when these expectations are have failed you.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And let me tell you what I did, and hopefully, we're gonna start sharing some of our personal stuff. But I just started writing down some examples of the disappointments.
Mm,
So some of the examples are not selected for a promotion or a project.
yeah,
Relationships. Relationships is huge.
yeah,
It turned out to be different from what you expected, and that's really on both sides. You got what you wanted, and then when you got it, you was like, "Let me throw it back because this
exactly. Yeah.
this ain't it." Or you wanted something and you didn't get it. So it was like you've been pulling for it and it never came your way. Sickness, man, that's a
Mm,
huge sickness, health challenges. You had certain dreams of being able to accomplish this, but illness, cancer, heart disease,
right.
uh, so many accidents, man. Um, you were just walking or in a car accident or something and minding your own business, and literally
Mhm,
your life has now changed. Academic struggles, uh,
mhm,
your life goals, all of those things. I mean, even as I was just talking about it, man, I was thinking, when I was in med school, I had the opportunity to go to Howard University, HU. So that was where I first got accepted to go into medical school. And when I decided that I was going to go into medical school, I thought that maybe where I was going to go, but realized that I wasn't ready to leave Chicago.
mm,
Was not ready to leave Chicago, and I prayed about it, and God was like, "Nope, that ain't it." And I was like, "Nah, don't tell me that." And they were going to allow me to get in through a conditional. I had to do a summer program, and I would have started med school um, a year earlier than when I did,
wow.
and I was
Mm,
so disappointed.
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you why I was disappointed. I was disappointed because I didn't think that I uh, I had the intelligence.
Mm,
I thought I missed the window of opportunity because when you hear a no, you're just like, okay, I heard the no. I need to follow the no. But I was like, I don't know what I want to do next. It leaves you like, man, in a way. And so we pose one of these questions about, you know, what happens when disappointment changes the direction of your life. You know, how do you discern whether it's a dead end or a divine redirection?
mm,
Yeah. And I'm
yeah.
telling you, I I thought it was a dead end.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to jump in there, but let me tell you, that thing hurt because I really
Mhm,
did think that it was over.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I did. I did. And let me just share this real quick, just before you. I
Mm,
ended up going into just the end of the story. I ended up going to the University of Illinois Chicago a year later, and when I got in, it was just by the skin of my teeth. I'm not going.
mm,
I literally had to go and talk to them about making sure I could get in. And when they accepted me for 5 years. Because normally you can finish med school in 4 years. And so the enemy played with my mind. It was like, Shep, you're 2 years behind.
mhm, yeah. Yeah.
2 years behind. And I didn't feel good about myself. Um, even though I was passing, I still was carrying that baggage of the 2 year disappointment.
Right. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna stop there, man.
That's real. I can relate to, I mean, there's so many thoughts that come to mind when I think about disappointments. And when I think, I mean, I have, and to me now, journaling, I was journaling to prepare for this conversation today. And I was thinking to myself that really disappointment is an example or a indication, right, of a person who is striving. right? Not just surviving, right? But that's really striving for more, right? Because the more you want, the more you desire, certainly disappointment is going to be a part of that journey. And I I think that a lot of what happens with us when it comes to disappointments and when it comes to life challenges is about our perspective and how we look at it. Um, Striving for academic excellence, right, in this in this climate and in this day and time, I'm trying to be where you are, at least with a terminal degree, right? And I am in my third year, and I can relate to sharing that disappointment with you. I'm a student at Morgan State University in Baltimore. Go Bears! And it's been a great experience. It really has. Like, I really do appreciate this HBCU experience. Is something that I've always wanted to have. And I remember, right, um, having a plan saying that I'm going to graduate within 4.5, 5 years, because my goal is that I got to be done with all schooling before 40. If I'm in school after 40, it's a wrap. It's done. I'm gonna be ABD. Just give me an honorary degree from Southwest Indiana, whatever that school is. That man is handing out degrees. He can give me one too. So it's like, I was like, that is my goal. And so far I've been good at it. I've been, taking the classes in the right order and things like that, until life happened. And
Mm.
I ended up losing my job. I was working at the University of Maryland and ended up losing my job, which was the reason why I was in school, because they were paying for my classes. And so I ended up taking a semester off because I was just so down, Dr. Shepard. I was like depressed. I was like, God, why this happens to me like in this moment, right? I didn't know where scholarship money was going to come from. I was just like, you know what, we're going to take a break. So I took the break, ended up, getting a job at Morgan State through the help and support of an advisor. And so, I said, okay, I looked at my curriculum sequence and I said, okay, actually, if I add on, rather than taking 2 classes per semester, if I do 3, I'll be okay. I'll be on the same trajectory, whatever the case may be. But what I failed to realize is that one of the courses was only offered in the spring, and I did not realize that I should have swapped out one of those courses that was only offered in the spring for a course that's offered anytime. And
Wow.
so, come this past semester, right, this spring 2026, it was in January that I found out through my advisor that I was on the trajectory to hopefully, do my comprehensive exams by the end of this semester, by the end of spring, and then doing my proposal and hopefully be graduated by next summer. And so he was like, "No, you have to take this class, and this class is only offered in spring." And we're currently in spring at that time, and I was like, "Oh, I can't take 4 classes. That's insane in doctoral school, and I'm working full time at this point." And so he's like, "You're gonna have to take the class in spring of 28." And I remember like shaking because not only was it just the disappointment in that moment, but it was all of the thoughts that I had about like, what if I had done something different, right? What if, I still had my job at the University of Maryland? What if I never took that semester off and I just would have taken loans out? I would not have been at this point. And I remember just feeling so not only again disappointed, but just frozen in that moment, like time just stood still. And I remember hanging up that phone. I was like, God, I am a first generational college student, first gen to get a master's and been in this doctoral program.
Wow.
What more do you want from me? I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, God, I'm trying my best here. Right. And so what felt in that moment like a dead end, right? What felt like in that moment that, you know what, now my journey has been extended, right, by a semester or two, it's not the end of the world. And so I, talked to one of my good friends who she has her PhD, and she was like, Tate, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. right? This is a marathon, being mindful that everything has a purpose, right? Every change in direction is strategic. One, because you are a child of God
Mhm.
and he will never leave you nor forsake you, meaning he won't leave you abandoned, right? He won't leave you feeling like all is lost.
Mhm.
And I had to remind myself that this truly is a journey. And then I thought about it too, Dr. Shep. I said, if I graduate this quick, will my research even be right what I want it to be? Right. Like, because I still was grappling with some of the, some of my topic and things like that. And then later on throughout this spring semester, I ended up meeting so many great people, ended up joining an organization that actually will help my research even further. And so now I'm using this semester, which is we're approaching now the fall, which is wild to think about how time is flying, but I'll be using this fall semester to do some on the ground research, some independent study. Even though I'm waiting on this class to take in spring, right? This one class, but I will feel more secure. I feel more ready to accomplish this goal. And so, but it took some redirecting the way that I was thinking about this whole situation. And I know that every moment is strategic, right? And especially because it has to be God ordained.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to remind ourselves as faith believers, right? Even in these secular spaces that we are in,
Yeah.
that we have to remind ourselves that, wait a minute, I'm a child of God. I'm covered by the blood, and so I know that everything has a purpose.
Yeah. Now,
Mhm.
listen, you just spoke life into someone with that testimony.
Yeah.
I was writing down what you said. I can hear somebody screaming like, "I'm trying my best here,
Yeah.
God. Like, look, come on. Like,
Yes. Yes.
I've been there. Like, come on. I'm trying my best here. I've tried. I've stayed steady. Um, I was just thinking as you were saying, because it goes into one of our questions that we talked about ahead of time about what are some of the life lessons that we've learned through these disappointments.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I have definitely learned is like self-awareness. Man, let me tell you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Ooh, and and folks don't want to be self-aware. I will tell you that now.
Absolutely. I'm one of them. I'm
we
one of them.
we think that we want no, and I'm sitting here just thinking like, thank you because you put a voice to what I've been saying, what others have been saying. I'm trying my best here, God. And this thing is an extension of my journey. You also mentioned that, and we don't like to go into overtime. We don't like to
Yeah.
go to have things extended. We don't like things to be delayed. And when I was thinking about some of the lessons, man, self awareness. I thought I was self aware.
Hmm.
I did, but the pandemic did a number on me.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. Right.
It shut me down,
Hmm.
and when it shut me down, I realized, like, Shep, you got some issues. Like, you
Yeah.
got some deficits that need to be worked on. And when and I'll be honest, man, I almost welled up there. It's so powerful because when you sit and you think
Hmm.
about where you could be and why you haven't been able to get there,
Yeah.
the disappointment settles in. But then you also think about, God, thank you, because if I had gotten there ahead of time,
And unprepared. Ooh. Wow. Yes.
like what tragedy that would have, like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm encouraging everybody out there. Thank you. I mean, we got folks chiming in and sending in messages. I love it. I love it. I mean,
Mhm.
I would love to hear what other people have got to say about and our guy will our host will post some of the things that people are saying. But I would love to hear what some of the other lessons that people have learned, because that self
Mhm.
awareness is huge.
Yeah.
Perseverance also. Um, that's one of the things I have learned is, have patience.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a physician, you got to have patience.
Mhm.
People will test you. People will, try to get you to do what they want you to do. But you got to have perseverance. Um, it's amazing how many people walk around and not self-aware. I keep going back to that.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know what lessons you have learned, and I don't know if that's one of the ones you learned too. But man, come on, that's yeah.
One of the things that's coming up for me in an article that I read many weeks ago, but it actually was right on time for this conversation because it's talking about um, cognitive appraisal theory, right? And I know
Oh,
I'm around. All right, I'm with the good doctor today, so I wanted to make sure that I brought this back into my notes. And but there's
okay.
this psychologist, right? Who his name is Richard Lazarus.
Hmm.
Go figure. His last name is Lazarus,
Right.
but that'll preach by itself.
Right.
But
Right.
he emphasizes that a person may face the same event on two different days and feel entirely different emotions.
Yes.
Like a presentation at work might feel like a threat, right? When one feels unprepared, but like a challenge when one feels confident. And so a delayed message, he talks about like a delayed message from a loved one might stir up anxiety or irritation or little concern at all. And depending on what the situation seems to mean in that moment. And so cognitive appraisal theory helps explain these variations of emotions that we experience. And so he talks about emotions do not arise from events alone. They emerge from a person's appraisal of those events. So the rapid, often automatic evaluation or of whether something matters or what is at stake or whether one has the resources to cope.
Mm,
So it's so interesting because again, like this particular theory is the study of emotion, right? And the
yes.
emotion towards the relationship between the person and the environment. So rather than treating the emotion as a simple reflex, right, this theory is emphasizing meaning, context, goals, and coping. And so our lives is shaped by emotions, right? And so
Yes.
by what happens to us, and so and how we interpret what is happening and what we believe we can do next. So if you feel as though that this particular disappointment, right, has stifled you and you feel like you cannot move on from it, right, that is because that's what you have assessed of the situation. But if we were to take a step back based on how we have community, right,
Yes.
how we cope, how we
Yes.
lean on faith,
Yes.
right, can help reshape and interpret the ways that our emotions are impacted by certain events in life. So
Right.
when I read that, I said that thing blessed me because I
Yeah.
was like, because
Yeah.
it really is about a self-awareness, to your point,
Yes.
right? It's about self-evaluation,
Yes.
right? How we not only I can be aware all day, right? I can
Yes.
be aware that I am angry or that something is making me feel whatever which way. But what am I doing with that awareness, right? So I
Right.
need to reevaluate, right? Reassess the way that I approach a situation or the way that I'm looking at this particular moment in my life to say this is not going to take me out. Excuse me. This is not going to take me out. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going
Mhm.
to, right, if I arrived to my dissertation phase, right, in the timeline that I wanted, but I'm not ready, I'm going to be an embarrassment to myself and
Right.
to the ancestors, right?
Right. Right.
Right.
Right.
I'm not doing my due diligence, right? And really embracing the process. And
Wow.
that's what's so key about this whole conversation,
Mhm.
especially as faith believers, is that we have to embrace the process, understanding again who is in charge of that process,
Right.
right? Not your board of directors, right? Not my dissertation chair, not even our pastor, but the spirit, right? That leads us and guides us to these different experiences because there's something we have to learn from it.
And let me
So, if
tell you something.
anything, apprise your emotions.
And I'm gonna stay right there. Thank you, because what I wrote that down, the cognitive appraisal theory. Because what happens is when our emotions get in the way, it will distort the way in which we appraise what we're going through.
Oh yes, yes, that is so good.
Oh man, because
You make
I mean
sure you
that.
give me credit in his next book chapter.
Oh my God, come on here. Because let me think about it. When you think about a house, when you go to appraise something, because of the damage, because of the things that it's been through,
Mm,
the appraisal will change based off of the work that is done to renovate it, the work that is done to prepare it, to get it ready. And so I love that. It's
Mhm.
amazing that we can shift, we can change based off of how we handle the disappointment. That
Yes.
how I want to say that God will even appraise us differently. I'm not sure if that's biblically correct, but
Mm.
it sounds good, but
Mhm. Right.
I like to say things and not just but I look at how we can how we are shifting. You know, I look at myself now because I'm more self-aware. I've grown, I'm matured, that my
Mhm.
value now, hear me on this, my value is even higher. What is even higher at stake what I carry now because I really truly understand the precious gift that I have that God has given to me. And because of that, um, yeah, there's going to be some expectations that I expect some things to move a certain way. Um, but even in that, still knowing that what I carry is precious, knowing that what I
Yeah.
bring to the table is precious, there's still I have to understand the timing, be sensitive to the move of when I'm supposed to do things, um, and know where I'm supposed to be at. Um, Man, you messed me up.
Yeah.
We got to embrace the process. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that's key. Let me
Mhm.
shift, and I'm going to stay there. I'm going to take us a little bit further. Um, I want to talk about what happens when we're grieving the disappointment.
Mm.
We're grieving the disappointment. Um, yeah, this grief thing is real.
Absolutely.
Before we talk about how to overcome it, because we're coming to that. But there's somebody out there who is grieving a disappointment right now. And
Mm.
you might say, Shep, Tate, y'all talking good. I'm listening. But this thing hurts.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you're grieving unmet expectations, you'll go through the cycles of grief. You know,
Mhm.
I'll just mention 3 A's real quick. If you're talking about the cycles of grief, um, the first A is acknowledgement. Um, there's no way that you can grieve something until you acknowledge the loss. One of the other stages is anger.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, you get angry.
Mhm.
Let me tell you, there's sometimes my pastor talked about this yesterday. Sometimes you feel like fighting.
Real
Man,
talk. Yeah. Laying hands on somebody.
yeah,
Yeah.
literally. We ain't talking about the spirit. I was yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then the other one is acceptance.
Yeah.
So those 3 A's: acknowledgement, anger, acceptance. Now there are more stages to grief, but those three just really just filtered out, if you would. In my note taking and preparation for this, man. Let's help somebody.
Yeah.
Uh, let's help somebody because I can feel it. That grief when you're not meeting, when your expectations are not met, that's real.
Right.
It's
And
real.
especially when it's not an isolated event, right? But it's like event after event, like a domino effect. Like when one domino hits, the other follows, right? And so I'm thinking about the folks who are caring so much in relation to the amount of disappointments and the amount of grief that they have. And it's like, God, how much more can I take? Because when
Right.
I threw up my hands and I said, God, I'm trying my best, like what is going on? That was because I came from a year of disappointment in 2025. And so I'm like, I don't want to enter 2026 with that same energy and that same patterns, right? And so I'm still right, like plowing through my way through grief, right, in ways that I am still learning. And I have another example. Another see it that happened this year. So January happened, then April happened,
Hmm.
and some of my close friends know that I'm in this ordination process, and I'm a born and raised in the grand old Church of God in Christ. My whole family is Kojic, and and so like I love the church. I love that church, but I moved to Atlanta many years ago to attend seminary school at Candler School of Theology at Emory University. And when I graduated in 2016 with my master's of divinity, many thought that, okay, what's next? Because folks, typically go to divinity school, seminary school for, to be a pastor or to teach, something in religion or theology and things like that. But I really went because I was just taking heed to what my undergraduate chaplain kept pouring into me. He kept saying, there's a calling in your life. There's a calling. You need to go and, and take heed to that. And then my pastor, my local pastor back in Waco was like, there's a calling in your life. You have a calling. I was like, okay, cool. But I never wanted to be a pastor, Dr. Shepherd. I never wanted to be a pastor. Like that just wasn't for me. And so I love college. I love higher education. And so I ended up working in higher education for 10 years. But throughout that 10 years, there was like this shoulder tap that I kept feeling, right, in the spirit. And like there was something still missing. There was something that I needed to do. And so long story short, my last year at Emory, we have to do an internship and we have to serve at a church, right? So I decided that the church I was going to serve at was Greater Community Church of God in Christ with Dr. Matthew Brown. And it ended up being a great experience the first semester, but I told him, I had a one-on-one heart. I said, man, I love you. I love this church, but I think that I'm not being challenged. He said, no, you're a son of this church. You need to go somewhere else. He said, go somewhere else to learn more. And I'll never forget that. And I love Bishop Brown for that, because he poured into me and he did not feel threatened by the fact that I needed to go somewhere else. Right. And so I ended up going to a little small church called First Christian Church of Decatur. And they are a part of the Disciples of Christ. And so I served with this white man named, who is now is deceased, but the Reverend Dr. James Calvert. And he was just like, man, I think this would be a great opportunity for you. I think you should, pursue, ordination. Never did, Dr. Shepherd. I went on with my life, lived in New York, LA, DC. I was, turning up for the saints, so... But starting in 2023, when I started the doctoral program, the Holy Spirit said, you're going to do another thing for you. You're going to do this for me. And you're going to start this ordination process. And so at the same time that I started my doctoral program, I started the ordination process under the sponsorship and supervision of my really good friend, who's also the covering for me, Pastor Darnell Fennell in Houston. And so this has been a process for the last 2.5 years at this point, working up to April 27th, 2026. And I wrote about it. I wrote a Substack, shameless plug, but if you want to follow me on Substack, my name is Tait Desae, Desae. But anyway, I wrote about it, right? And not even realizing, Dr. Shepherd, that you were going to invite me to this conversation. And April 27th was prepared. This is my last step, my final committee interview before I actually get ordained. And so this is going to be a committee of 16 clergy persons who are going to interview me about, the history and the polity of the Disciples of Christ, right? The story of Jesus, right? What is salvation? What is discipleship? All of these things. And I was up all night long preparing for this interview. And keep in mind, I live in Atlanta, and the interview was going to be in Texas, in Dallas, because I'm being ordained through my home state. And so my flight was scheduled for 6 a.m. And money was tight. So I knew that I had to be very strategic about how I was going to fly to Texas and make my way back, because I've been sponsoring all these flights back and forth to Texas, on my own. So long story short, I waited for the Uber prices to go down to something more reasonable, because they were astronomical that day. There was like almost $100 just to get to the airport at 4 a.m. So I arrived to the airport finally at 5:15, did my TSA pre-check, trying to get through, but they stopped everyone in the airport because there was a machinery malfunctioning that was happening. And so the lights were flickering. It was very eerie. I didn't know what was going on, and I only had a backpack because I'm flying out and I'm coming back. I was supposed to land that night at 10 p.m. And so I'm trying to figure out what's going on. There was a delay that allowed that delayed me to getting to my gate at 6:05 a.m. And I missed my flight, Dr. Shepard, by 5 minutes.
Wow.
Me and 4 other families, we literally missed our flight. And so the folks at the gate, they were very kind, very sweet. And they were trying to, get us rebooked. But the issue was that, and anyone who knows anything about ordination interviews, is that I'm not the only one. And there are going to be multiple people on each hour that they're interviewing, because it only happens like twice a year. And so I was scheduled to be interviewed at 1 p.m. All of the flights would have gotten me to Dallas after 5 p.m. And I was like, no, there has to be another way. And then so Delta had a flight. Of course, Delta is always going to have a flight. They're always going to get you there, but they're going to get you there with an arm and a leg.
Okay.
And they had a flight for $899. And I was like, there is no way I can afford an $800 flight when rent is due next week. And so in that moment, Dr. Shepard, I just froze. I felt like, are you kidding me? I felt like the whole world just like imploded. Like I was just so defeated. I cannot express that enough. I felt so defeated, not only because I missed my flight, but knowing that I couldn't afford a flight in the spur of the moment in that time. So, 10 minutes, like I just stood there in ATL Hartsfield Jackson, just in the middle of the runway or the hallway, just numb in disbelief what was happening to me. And of course, I ended up making phone calls, call the pastor, emailing ordination folks. They were talking about, can you drive down here? I was like, there's no way I can drive from Atlanta to Dallas and get there in time. But I ended up going back home, Dr. Shepard, feeling numb. Like I think this is very key, especially as you mentioned grief, right? And I gave all that context because I want people to know when you work hard for something, you work towards a goal, and then it seems like it's just been taken from you in a snap of a finger. Yeah. You don't just like, oh, okay, well, on to the next thing. No, you have to sit with that. Right. And often I can speak for myself. I'm not the medical profession in the room like you are, but I know for me, my body, right, gets tense, right? I even felt my heart rate elevating. I was having shallow breath. Like I was aggravated. I was mad. I wanted to punch a wall. Like I was going from range to range of emotions. And I was like, and I told myself, Tait, get home so you can either, lay in the bed, hit a pillow, or do something, or scream, right? But just get home, because I didn't want nobody to, see my aggravation. I didn't want somebody to look at me wrong, and then I end up, lashing out on them. I'm like, not now. I'm trying to be ordained, since I can't act like that. But that is what my body was feeling, and I think that's what we need to really acknowledge, Dr. Shepard, is that disappointment and grief has visceral reactions in your body. You know what I'm saying? And we need to sit with that. Like, you don't need to just move past it. You don't need to move on to the next thing. You don't need to just get over it, but sit with it. And that's what I had to do that entire day. Was I sat in that disappointment, and I sat with those emotions, and I really allowed myself, my nervous system, to get, regulated again, right? After I allowed myself to really feel those range of emotions.
Yeah. Now, let me tell you, one of the key things that you just said, and I'm looking at some of the comments, people like they're feeling what you're saying, my brother. But it's key that you took it home to feel what you were feeling. And that's what I want to share with people. Grief is real. You're going to feel the disappointment. You're going to feel the grief of the disappointment, of the letdown, of the unmet expectation.
Yeah.
But we have to be careful where we grieve. The environment. Because imagine if you had done all those things. I can only imagine. I mean, if I was you, I would probably be standing in the airport, like just tears, like God, like I tried my best here, again, God, come on. I tried again. You told me to do this. I didn't even want to do it.
Exactly. Didn't want to do it.
This wasn't even my idea. And here I am, Mr. Flight. Um, but where you grieve, and I want to, I really want to point that out to people out there, because grief is, and when it comes over you, you you can't help it.
Yeah.
When you try to shut it down, that's when it actually becomes worse. You know, I'm thinking about, as you were talking, I'm just thinking about people who have grieved, who wanted to have children. I'm thinking about couples.
Mm, yeah. Mm,
You've been trying, you've been going to fertility clinics. You've been doing what the doctor's been telling you to do. And yet it does just not coming out right.
right.
Or people have been trying to have children, and then come to find out that the child has a genetic disorder.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and these are questions that I get faced with, Tate, when people come in for treatment. I'll never forget that. People who is, Dr. Shepard, what am I supposed to do? They're telling me that my child is going to have um, a genetic disorder. It's going to have Down syndrome.
Mm,
What do I do?
mm-hmm.
I mean, it's that type of thing. I feel, um, you know, I thought I was going to be married by now. I'm just going to go there. People,
Yeah.
I, here I am. I'm 30, and I thought I was going to be married. I thought I was going to have a child by now. Those things. There's people in the religious world who thought they would have become an elder or ordained like
Mm,
you, or a pastor. There's people who, again, promotions, all those different things. People are grieving
yeah.
these expectations. And what I wanted to share with people is that we have to be so careful to discern what people are going through,
Oh, yes. Yes.
because some of the stuff that we are facing, and when we're facing aggravation and frustration, some of us are trying to come at it, well, something's wrong with them and they just got this. And
Yeah.
no, no, some
Mm-hmm.
people are seriously grieving.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you really have got to have people who are sensitive and know how to discern what's going on with folks. A lot of folks, when you come into, I'm going to tell you where you see it a lot. You see it a lot in religious organizations, and you see it a lot when they come to the doctor. You
Mm-hmm.
would think that you would expect to see that, but I'm telling you, folks, when they come to see me, man, they don't want to admit they're grieving.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, oh, Chef, no, you got that wrong. No, I'm over that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm over him. Mm-mm.
Right.
No, and then you start to ask certain questions. You know, that's what bubbled up within me. Again, I'll be vulnerable here. There were some things, Tate, that I thought I had gotten over, that had hurt me in my childhood.
Mm,
And it wasn't until I started taking a deeper look and became self-aware that some things that had happened, some decisions that were made, love my family. I'm not putting anybody out, but certain decisions that were made, that I was like, I never understood,
mm,
and I was never able to reconcile within myself how that affected me, and the disappointment
yeah.
of not experiencing what I thought I should have experienced at that time in my life. I had carried that. And when you carry something, it either is going to do one or two things. It's going to grow
Mm-hmm.
to
Yep.
where you can no
Yeah.
longer handle it, to where it gets out of, or it may not grow, but it may stunt your growth.
Yeah.
It may literally keep you paused, um, or even, I've seen where people, I'm gonna stop here. I've seen where people have, like, their growth has been arrested.
Mm,
60-year-old, but still thinking like that in their 30s,
right.
because of,
Right.
because of a disappointment that happened. Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
Just that thinking has been arrested. That's it. And so that's where, again, discernment is key. So I I really want to let people know that um, grief here is so real, um,
Absolutely.
and we feel you. We feel you. We feel you, and we want to help you. Um, as we are going to start winding down here, I want to talk about just some practical steps. This has been good conversation. I can't believe we've gone this long.
Yeah, me neither.
This is good,
Mhm.
man.
Yeah,
Much needed, much needed. Um, but I wanted to talk about some practical steps that we can help people
yeah,
in in overcoming the grief and
yeah.
overcoming the disappointment. I know. Please start off. I've got some things, but man, I mean, you hitting a home run already. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you're the expert in the room. I can speak from my lived experience, but I want to say this: what you shared earlier about um, using this, using discernment. Discernment is so key when you are um, dealing with someone or in community with someone who is still grappling with grief, the grief of disappointment and the grief of a letdown or whatever have you, whether it's through an establishment, through or through a family member or through a partner, right? And I think that is important, right? And I know that we all have good intentions, right, Dr. Shepherd? Like, we send condolences all the time. We're like, oh, we love to quote scriptures,
right.
God is not giving you the spirit of fear, but a power, love, a sound mind, right? All of that is great. It
I like
is, right? But it's also important to like not bypass my grief and my feelings, right? And not to bypass the event that took place. And
yes,
so I was very hesitant with sharing with people about my disappointments of this year, especially I think the biggest one for me was really the ordination, although, that is still going to happen. It's just been delayed. But
right.
most of my friends, or some people, not a lot, but a lot of people are like, well, you're delayed, but not denied,
Yeah,
and so, just, dust your feet off and keep on moving
right.
kind of thing,
Right.
and so, and granted, like all of that is great, right? I totally believe that there is truth. Please hear me when I say this, because I say this in love. There is truth in delayed but not denied, right?
Mhm.
But it wasn't what I needed to hear in that moment.
Mm.
you know like it really wasn't, right? And I think sometimes in the moment of feeling, right, the grief and the impact of not getting that promotion, the impact of being rejected, by someone you maybe, you tried to shoot your shot at, whatever it may be. It could be as extreme as, not being able to get a child, or adding to your family, till as low as, not being able to get a new car, right? Like
Mhm.
wherever you are on that spectrum, right? Your emotions are valid, right? And the most honest thing we can do is sit with the sadness and the disappointment instead of rushing past it, right?
Mhm.
Because we do live in this culture, especially in social media, to get over it. We rush past things very quickly. But I think
Yeah.
it's important to sit with that. And so my encouragement to anyone that is, dealing with disappointment, or someone that is live with them, be with them in that moment, right? This priest that I met from Chicago, he was a part of a mission trip that I used to lead back in the day, and he said, Tate, I've learned as a priest to be a non-anxious spirit.
Mm.
And that has sat with that has I've taken that with me everywhere I go, because sometimes we want to have the answers to everything. We want
Mm.
to soothe the soul so quickly, right? Because we
Right.
have good intentions, especially if it's someone that we care about, right? But sometimes it's just about the presence of just being,
Right.
right? Just sitting with someone,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right. And let
just
me tell you,
being, yeah,
no, I was gonna say real quick, and when you allow people to sit, it allows them to empty it out
yeah, organically, right? Hmm.
organically. Because if you can't empty yourself out, there's no room to fill back up.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I just want to share it because that's what happens. And because I can hear somebody saying, well, you just need to hear a positive affirmation right then and there. Yes, there's a time and place.
yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
But let me tell you, when you jump in too fast to tell people something, they first of all, they won't think you're authentic.
Yeah.
And second of all, they think that you don't really care.
Right.
I'm gonna
Right.
stop there. That
Yeah,
just you you gotta allow yourself to empty out.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I would say, another thing that really helps, and I wrote about this in my Substack because I have a podcast and a platform that we are, really growing with Brother Breathe, that, was birthed out of my own right life struggles and the need to really have a space for mental health conversations for Black men specifically. But I said in my Substack, I said, I cannot be an advocate for people, for brothers especially, to take care of their mental health and their emotional well-being, and I not do it myself, and I not be transparent about the moments where I find it to be difficult, to be right hard or challenging to be open about my own mental health journey. And so one of the things that I found to be helpful was journaling, right? And so like when I got home, which I ain't gonna lie, the journal into a sermon, but we'll get into that later. But the journaling really helped, right? Because I started off with questions like, what did I lose right
Mm,
today? Right? What did I lose in this moment? Like, and reevaluating my own identity. Like, am I still who I am at my core?
mm,
Right? Like, am I still that right? Is my spirit still intact? Right? Like, even though I've been battered and bruised by these disappointments and by these life circumstances, right? Is the core of who I am still intact? And so, and I think that that is really key in being able to really, what we talked about earlier, self-assessment and self-awareness, right?
yes.
Being able to really recalibrate,
Yes.
right? And being able to really understand the importance of sitting alone with your thoughts, not being afraid of them, but owning them, right?
Mhm.
And writing them down, right? Whether it's and I know some of my students, they don't like really journaling because this generation don't even like writing, but they use voice memo. And I thought that that was really cool. One student was like, he said, yeah, like if anybody take my phone, they have a whole diary of my voice memos, because sometimes when he's having a rough day or if he needs to vent about something, he goes straight to his voice memos. And I thought that was brilliant. I was like, that's dope, right? Because
Yeah,
you're releasing,
that's right.
right? Don't, like you said earlier, Dr. Shep, don't keep it in because it's going to fester and it's going to grow,
Right.
right?
That's right. That's
So
right. Yeah.
those are my main points, is practicing not being a self, a non-anxious spirit, right? Journaling, right?
Yeah.
Sitting with those feelings and asking good questions. If you ask good questions, I heard this earlier today, you ask good questions, it would change your future, right?
Mm,
So ask yourself, right? Am I still who I am before I went to that airport this morning? Do I
that's right.
still have the expectation that my ordination is still going to happen, right?
Right.
Do I
Right.
still have that drive and that ambition to know that I will one day be a doctor, right?
Right.
And
Right.
then, and so, and that is what's going to bring you back, right?
Yeah.
Refuel you to know that, okay, I'm gonna have my day or two, a week, or whatever it takes for me to get over it. But I got to get back on the horse, right? And get
Yeah.
back on the goal, because the goal is still there, right? That's why the Bible says, now here I'm going to the Bible, but it says to press towards the mark, right?
That's right. Hmm.
Not to just right, just to walk towards it, or gallivant or frolic, but it's just to press, right? And we
Right.
know what that means, to press, right?
Mhm.
To have that energy that comes from the spirit, right? To press towards something that is higher than us,
That's right.
right? So that is kind of the things that I just want to share with folks, and know that you're not alone. We're
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
first people to have disappointment. We won't be the last, right?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
know that you are not alone.
Man, that's encouraging. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for the press. My prayer is that even as someone is listening to this, is that they're energized to have the press again. Um,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
even in a live like this, I'm discerning that there's someone that they're hearing our personal stories, our testimonies, that they're getting reinvigorated for the press. Because what disappointment will do, it will sap your energy,
Yeah.
it will sap your strength, it will take the press out of you.
Mhm.
It would take the drive, because the press is really representative of the drive, the push, the passion that God has put
Mhm.
inside of you.
Right.
Because if you don't have a press, you don't have a passion, let me tell you, disappointment will wipe you out. That's how you
Yeah.
know when you're called to something too. Because if a little disappointment just takes you out, nah, that really wasn't meant for you nowhere. Yeah.
Right, right. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, because let me tell you, we have several disappointments. I've had personal disappointments. I've had personal disappointments on this journey, and yet I persevered. That's one of the major
Yeah.
lessons. And it did not
Mm,
define me. I like what you were saying about identity. I've been studying about identity in the Word over the last week or 2 weeks now. And that's been so strong on me about identity, and so I
mm,
appreciate that. That really was key. Let me tell you this too. My pastor, we've adopted this motto because it's important where you sit when you're sitting with yourself. Because some of us will sit in the seat of pity. Woe is me.
yes.
And don't nothing go right for me. I don't
Mhm,
look right,
mm,
and so you got to be careful where you sit. You know,
mhm.
Psalm 1 just came up about sitting in the seat of the scornful. That's
Right.
they
Yes,
they
yes.
used to say that
Mhm.
about going to the movie theater. Those old times, the old school. But anyway, but yeah, uh, I want to make sure that we're utilizing where we sit. So we've adopted this: I fast, I pray, I hear, I obey. I fast, I pray, I hear, I obey.
Mhm.
So when you're sitting, you want to make sure you're sitting in the right place. You want to take some time to pray and to meditate. Prayer, communication with
Yes.
God, meditation sometimes is so overwhelming, you may not even be able to say anything, but you want to sit and meditate with appropriate music. Sometimes you
That's
just sit
right.
in silence.
Yeah.
That is true. But sometimes you just sit and just soak in appropriate worship music. Allow your mind to just take it all in. And that is
Mhm.
how that you walk through this time when you're just sitting in silence. Be careful because sometimes when you sit in silence, that mind, again, I studied the mind, that mind play tricks on you.
Oh, yes.
It
Oh,
takes
yes.
all every so you literally have to bring into captivity every thought. All right.
Mm,
So want to share that with you. Other thing I want to say as we're wrapping up here is rest. Take some
mhm.
time to rest, sleep. When you've been disappointed, and it's a little bit about what you did. You went back home, and sometimes you just need to stop what you're doing. I wrote this down. Movement does not mean action. Movement does not mean action.
Mm,
Sometimes when disappointment, we keep moving, we keep doing this, we keep doing that, and we don't take time to actually sit and
yeah.
just stop and rest. Let your mind just, and when I mean rest, I mean go to sleep. I mean, go to bed. I can remember this the first time I took the medical college admissions test, the MCAT, and man, I thought I was all that. I studied, but I was like, man, these folks they tripping. This test ain't hard, that thing. I went in there, that thing kicked my butt.
Mm,
I got out and I said, God, I have never done this bad on an exam before. I was so disappointed. I was so hurt. Here's the thing.
um,
I went
yeah.
home and I was living with my parents at the time, and I just went to sleep. I was so
Mm,
disappointed in myself. I was so hurt. I said, you know what? Let me just go. I'm just gonna go home and just call it a day. I'm done. Um, and let me tell you, right there was a pivotal moment. Man, that's hitting me hard now because
mhm.
that could have been a time when I said, you know what? I don't have what it takes to get into medical school.
This is it. Right, right.
I don't. I'm
Mm,
done. I know I failed, and let me tell you, I did not do well. I ended up having to take the exam over again. So that
mm,
even weighed on me when if you go for those who joined us late, I talked a little bit about how I got into Howard Medical School, um, and but I delayed my admission. That thing started weighing on me too, because like, Shep, look, you already missed the first go around because you didn't do well on the exam. Now you did better the second time around. Now here you get a chance to go in, and now you're just like, no, that's not the place for you to go. So I'm thinking all these
Hmm.
years I had it up, Tate, like, you know what, this is too much.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but when I sat in rest and I went to sleep, I woke up that next day and I was like, no, this is what I'm supposed to do. And so I just
Yeah.
want to tell people, yeah, you need to go and get some rest.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
take some time to recalibrate. I love what you said about that. Um, all right, man. This is hopefully
Yeah.
some of these steps have been good to help people. I have enjoyed this conversation. Tell the
Likewise.
people,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So tell the people a little bit about Brother Breathe.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me just say this, that I'm so glad that you went back to take that MCAT, because you are an inspiration, but also, right, there are very few Black men in your field, right? And we need a Dr. Shepherd to be the example, so that other young Black men know that if Dr. Shepherd could do it, I can do it, right? And so, and I think that's also another thing too, just keep it in mind that, you know, this is some of our goals and aspirations are bigger than us, bigger than our imagination, bigger than what we could ever, right, desire or think. And so I don't think that any, and I forgot who says this, I think maybe Eleanor Roosevelt, but nothing worth having comes easy, right? And so you got to put some work into it, some grit into it, and disappointment is a part of the process, right? And I know our younger generation, the Gen Z and, you know, the alpha folks, they want a soft life, they want things to come easy, and they don't want to have to be resilient, right? But I'm telling you, disappointment builds character, right?
Yeah.
It builds, right, and it allows that the expected end, right, is worth it. It's worth it. And your story reminded me so much of my homegirl. I love her to death. I'm not gonna name her because I don't want to put it out there, but she failed the bar
Mhm.
7 times.
Wow.
One of the hardest states in the country. She was trying to achieve the bar. And every time we would talk, and she's like, she would sit with it and she would be so disappointed. But I kept encouraging her, say, girl, you are the first to ever do this in your family. There's
Mm,
no blueprint for
right.
you. Of course, it is going to be hard, but you are worth it. You are built for this. And God would never leave you nor forsake you. And I love the meditation part that you mentioned, because I know one of her methods was that she would go and rent out before the bar. She would go rent out a hotel and still away and meditate and study and
Mhm.
pray and read and read and pray and pray and read to prepare for the bar. But I think that that can be applicable to any situation, right? To meditate still away. If you don't have the means to go get a hotel, go to the library or go to a porch, and use your porch, or go to the amenities in your apartment complex or whatever have you, right? Create your own sacred space and meditate on some good music or scripture. My favorite scripture to meditate on, just to start, is Psalms 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Whom shall I be afraid? Right? So just meditating on that, meditating on one scripture, I'm telling you, it will take you somewhere. So, but Brother Breathe is something that I love and dear, that is growing. And it was really created out of a need that I didn't see a space where there was Black men having conversation for all ages, healing conversations about the purpose of mental health, and also just the purpose of meditation and breathing and being one with oneself and with the spirit and with nature, and all of these needs that God has put on earth for us to use, right? There's nothing
Mm,
wrong with going to a psychiatrist. There's nothing
that's
wrong
right.
with going to a mental health therapist, right?
That's
God
right.
placed these people, God placed you on this earth for us to utilize, right? And so just normalizing the conversation, normalizing the desire, and destigmatizing, right, around Black men getting help and seeking out help, right? That you're not weak, that you're not looked down upon or less than human, but you're actually seen as courageous. Right. And so that is the purpose of Brother Breathe. And we're growing, moving into hopefully a nonprofit status very soon. And so some good things are happening. And so I'm just grateful that we've had, people, experts like yourself on the show, and his own YouTube and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Brother Breathe, and Mr. Big Head Productions at the YouTube channel if you want to look us up.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me tell you, he does good work. Anybody who knows me knows I'm going to lift up and encourage people, but I endorse good work. And ever since I've known Tait, I've known for him to be a person who is integral and accountable. And I appreciate that. It's difficult at times to find people who are doing the type of work you are doing and who's remained consistent and integral with it. And so I do appreciate that. So look him up, you all. Brother Breathe, go to his Instagram handle, follow him. You will be blessed. You will be encouraged, inspired because of that. And in case you're in need of direct care services, you can hit me up. Many of you all already do that anyway. drjonathanshepard.com. Go to my website. You can go to my Instagram, YouTube pages. Download Spirit in Mind. I'm loving it. We just hit over 750 downloads. I think I just got an announcement of that. So just had 40 downloads this past week. So I love it. I love the momentum that continues to occur with that particular platform, Spirit in Mind. That's with myself and Bishop Guy Robinson. So these type of things, thank you. He just posted, appreciate that. But these are the type of things that we're doing on a consistent basis because we want to help our people. There's so much stuff that's out there that's tearing down our people and is biting and bickering and devouring one another. But we've got to continue to be consistent. That's why I encourage you, Tait. And these things that I've encountered for you, I tell you, it's just a way to really just lift you up even higher. It really is, man. And so I just speak life into you, and I encourage you, in all that you do. I'm here for you. You've heard me say that. I'm saying even publicly here now. So I do mean that, and we thank you for that because we've got to build up each other. We've got to make sure that we have programming, have discussions like this that will counteract what is happening in our society.
Right.
We will not allow our people to be destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Yes.
And because people are not available to yield of their gifts, their God-given gifts, to the society at large. And so I know I've purposed in my life that I will make sure that people get the information that they need. So hit me up, drjonathanshepard.com. Any direct care services in DC and Maryland. I'm only licensed in DC and Maryland now. So folks can hit me up in Georgia. I know you got some of your fan club down in Georgia and Texas. I've been seeing them. I'm not licensed down there yet, so I can't.
Well, you need to maybe get a summer home or something in Texas. Get a winter home. God is calling us to expand.
Yes. Impact, influence.
Yes.
Stretch. But any final words before we get out of here? Anything you want to tell the people?
No, I thank you again for this opportunity. I absolutely appreciate it and love the work that you are doing. And I love the Medicine My Ministry, the whole collaboration that you have been showing and modeling for others, that hopefully that inspires other medical professionals to do the same, right? To not be afraid, but to not be ashamed of both the ministry and the medical professional that exists within you. You can do both, and you can do both with integrity and yeah, I just appreciate you, man. You've always been an inspiration for me from afar, and a mentor from afar. So I just appreciate you, and to all the viewers out there, just know that you are not alone. That disappointment is a part of the process, and that you have space to explore all of the things that you need to explore when it comes to your emotions, right? And knowing that you have methods that we already shared with the meditation and the journaling and finding community and finding a good professional therapist that can help you along the way. And so, but again, disappointment does not mean that you're flawed, right? It means that you're human and you're doing your best. So
That's right. That's right.
mhm.
Where ministry of medicine flourish. That is my slogan, which is now copyrighted.
All right, that's
That's
important
that's right.
because the Saints was still your idea.
Oh wow. Saints and eights.
Right.
Where ministry and medicine flourish. Thank you all.
Good.
Appreciate the discussion. We'll be back in the healing room as we do this once a quarter. You can go back. Please share this. Go share it on your social media pages. Go share it on YouTube. Typically, we're in the thousands by the time we share this, so we don't want to lack there. Let people know. Save it, because when they go through a disappointment, you can just go back and say, hey, listen to this discussion and see how it can help you. All right, we're signing off here. Appreciate you all, and we'll see you next time in the healing room.